before I forget that. All right. So up next on our agenda is an optional piece. It is it's an optional piece where anybody can go around and say, show or tell something that they've done to prepare in the last month or anytime recently that you want to share with the group, any tips or tricks or something exciting that you've gotten, like Fred's solar panels that he showed us at the beginning. So this is, you don't have to share anything, but if you want to share something with the group, feel free. Lynn?
I'm very proud that I just passed all 12 modules of my CERT online class, and also the pod, the 4-hour pod course through FEMA. So I'm now on the list for November in person to finish with my CERT. So I'm very excited.
Yay.
Good for you.
It was an effort. I tried to do something every night. So yeah, it's nice to have that done. I learned a lot.
That's exciting. Charlie?
So I've ordered some things and I picked up some things in the last couple of weeks. I was so jealous of Fred getting a portable toilet seat that I went online and he had mentioned luggable loo, and I've heard that term before, but REI has luggable loos for $20. So I went down and got a luggable loo, and while I was there, I got a Swiss Army knife, which I've never owned. I hope I get some use out of it someday. I'm also inspired by Jackie. I'm getting some water bricks so that I can once and for all have enough water, I feel, to weather a crisis for quite some time. Kind of related to that, I helped a group here, someone who showed up to our last meeting, Ingrid, perhaps you'll remember, and it looks like maybe there'll be some more Map Your Neighborhood efforts starting around the Horn area in River Road, and continuing to hand out literature on occasion to my immediate neighborhoods, Map Your Neighborhood neighbors, just to keep us sort of remembering that we do have this group. That's it. Thank you.
You, Andrew?
Well, first off, I just want to share some information that I learned from this group. I was in Bend last week, and I was looking at my gas gauge, and I said, "Oh, I got plenty of gas to get home." I said, "I don't need to fill up. I'll just go ahead and go home." And then I thought about Charles leaving the fires, and she said, "You might get stuck on the highway somewhere. You might have to use your air." And so I pulled over, filled up my gas tank. Sure enough, 126 had traffic, construction stop for about 30 minutes, and the 95 weather. So good information we're sharing here. It saved my butt. I wasn't going to run out of gas, but it was excellent that we had this meeting, because I was like, nah, I should get gas for sure.
Yeah. Good.
And then, is it freezing? And then otherwise, Jackie and I kind of got some of our bins and everything together the other day. We had like a huge tote of all of our emergency stuff, and we finally got it organized and checked it off the list and decided what we needed to add and what we didn't need to carry and what was just wasted space. So we kind of got kickstarted on reorganizing our bins.
Yeah, that was a big effort. We went through some of our clothes that we had previously set aside. Some of them didn't fit anymore after, packing them away several years ago. So it was good to update all of that stuff and make a new shopping list of things we still needed to add. All right. Anybody else?
Jackie, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
This was inspired by Jackie. I have always been kind of worried about what would happen if I ever needed to do jumper cables, and there was another vehicle not around to do that. And she sent me a link for a portable cable jumper thing, and you charge it up. It also can be a supplemental battery and power source for other small items like your cell phone or other things that you might carry in your car. Anyway, I feel safer having it, and there's very good instructions that come with it. Anyway, very happy about it. Thank you.
Yeah, those are great little units. We keep one in all of our vehicles, and we've used it to jump other people's vehicles too. If we're in a parking lot and you can't pull your car around to get to hood, it definitely comes in handy to just do that instead of hooking up your car to theirs. All right.
And it's self-contained. It's just that little bag.
It comes in a kit, and it has quite a lot of extra things. It has a plug so that you can plug it into the wall. It has an attachment so that you can use the cigarette lighter thing in your car. It has quite a bit, and I'd be happy to send the link to anybody. Maybe we can send that around. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I trust Jackie to do her homework, so I'm pretty sure it's a very good quality. The reviews were very, very good on it. Quite nice.
Cool.
That research credit definitely goes to Andrew. He's the one researching all of our
Okay.
electronic
Andrew.
equipment.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so the next item on our agenda for this evening is to discuss the evacuation zones that were recently released by Eugene Springfield Fire. And I can share my screen and kind of show what they sent out. Oh, okay. So the Eugene Springfield Fire Department, kind of in collaboration with Lane County and the City of Eugene, City of Springfield, have come up with these evacuation zones and have released them. This is a kind of a blurry screenshot of the map, but if you click into this link here, it takes you to an interactive map where you can enter in your address and kind of zoom in on what zone you fall into. So let me zoom in here. And so if we look at the River Road neighborhood here, we have the north half of River Road neighborhood falls into zone 14, and then the south half falls into zone 22 for the most part. There are a couple of evacuation, they're called public assembly points is what they have them labeled as, and there are 3 of them on the map. One of them is at the Lane County Fairgrounds, so that's A down here. One of them is at Valley River Center, that's B, so the mall across the river. And then the third one is the Bob Kiefer Center, which I believe is somewhere over here in Springfield. Yep, over here. So this is the information that they've shared. And I think the goal of these evacuation zones is to help our residents here identify if they're in a zone that needs to evacuate. If you're able to say zone 14, zone 22, evacuate, instead of trying to detail names of streets and crossroads. I think that was their intention there. But I wanted to share these with the group and just kind of open it up for discussion. What do you guys think about these? Have you heard any other feedback about them? Do we have any follow-up thoughts that we want to discuss as a team? I'll open it up to the group.
I had a thought on so they have these evacuation points, but I mean, sometimes, like if I'm up here in northern Santa Clara, getting to that evacuation point might be quite difficult. Are they going to have, aren't there gathering points somewhere within each zone or something like that? So that there's something closer, sort of like how we do the communications, where they have, where they set up a, a communications hub, and then that goes up to the city and all that. Are they going to do anything like that? Does anyone know?
I don't know that specific assembly points in each area are in the plans. That is something I noticed, that there aren't anything really. The closest one to us is either the fairgrounds or Valley River Center. And one of those requires us getting across the river.
Right.
I think one of the last meetings I attended, they mentioned that they weren't going to release specific evacuation routes because those are kind of emergency dependent. You know, if it's a fire versus a flood or where the emergency is located, that's going to depend on what direction you should head. I don't know if anybody else has any.
I think schools were supposed to be, but that's if they're standing too, you know, that sort of thing after an earthquake. But anyway, yeah, it's just be interesting to, if they would, you know, make some of that information more well known.
Yeah, Charlesie?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I had thought I had heard when this was first mentioned, I think in June, that there was going to be this, they called it a plan, and it really isn't a plan. It's an interactive map. And it seemed like there was the expectation, or maybe it was even expressed, that there would be safety zones marked. And they may have backed off on that. It could be it was just, I don't know. But that might be something that individual neighborhood associations or we as a group might want to take on as just to inform ourselves and think out where might we want to go, because we're going to need to figure that out for ourselves and not wait without knowing if we're going to get help with that from emergency services. And maybe think out different kinds of emergencies that could come up and what kind of factors would we be most concerned with. We talked at that outdoor meeting about the possibility of flood and looking more closely at what the different elevations are around, perhaps as a clue. I've heard people say that if it's a matter of fire, they're going to get to areas where there's large open spaces. Maybe a school would be a good site, or a large shopping center. But I would be kind of in favor of trying to do our best effort at imagining what those safety areas could be.
That's a good idea.
The city just recently published a emergency operations plan, or like a month ago or something, and it does. I don't believe it talks about. It mostly tells what the different city departments' roles will be in an emergency, and how they would activate the different departments of the city and interact with the county and Springfield. But there's not much about about neighborhoods. And I don't think there's much about evacuation zones. I mean, these zones, I think, are not anyway. So there's not places to evacuate to, I don't believe, and I think maybe that is something that the neighborhoods could think about, is like places in the neighborhood or nearby, or that would be you know, there's some good places to shelter from wildfire up here to the north of Bethel, you know, and there's stubble fields, quite a lot of stubble fields, which currently have a lot of grass seed stubble on them. But when that gets cleared off, then those would be good sites for fire, you know, that shelter in place for fires, for wildfires. But then, as far as floods go, you know, it's like it'd be really good to have to know different elevations, so you'd be able to get onto higher ground. And there's not that much high ground in the Bethel neighborhood for sure.
Jackie, my concern is that they're using numbers for these evacuation zones, and who the heck is going to remember what zone they are in, or, you know, and what to do. So that's my concern. I like they have a plan, but I dislike that they have no way of letting people know, the people beyond us who have a map, what zone are you in? I have no idea. You know, I might be in zone 28 or 38. You know, that's my complaint.
Yeah, that's a good point. And if they're announcing these over the radio, if it's on the news, they can accompany it with a map. But if it's on the radio or some sort of text communication, you wouldn't have that map to go along with it. So that's a good point.
Oh, Jackie.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if all of you saw, but within the last month, I think Corvallis did a huge evacuation exercise of, I don't know, it looked like thousands of residents. And I don't have any of the details. It was a big event in which people purposefully got in their cars, packed up, I guess, and took off on roads to evacuate. And
a bug out run.
okay, and I've not heard of any plans to do that here, but I've thought about doing a field trip up to Corvallis and trying to find people who maybe could brief us on that and what other communities are doing. Because it could be that it's going to be through our initiative that those kinds of efforts are made. Does anybody know anyone in Corvallis who participated in that?
No.
Doesn't look like it.
I just created a map for Bethel that I could screen share if you want to see.
Yeah, that would be great.
Well, where in the heck is it?
Should be a green share screen button at the bottom.
Oh, I know that, but I just minimized it. Now I'm not. Oh, show all windows. Okay, there we go. It was hiding. So anyway, I just put this together, and I figure I can send it out to all the Bethel residents to find their zone. But yeah, we have a lot of zones in our Bethel neighborhood.
That's great. That's way easier to read than those tiny gray numbers that they put out there.
Thank you.
A lot more memorable. One of the things that happened in Paradise is they had zones and they were numbered. I think maybe some had letters, but we knew within those zones where to go in an emergency. In my zone, there was a nearby school. We do need to take it to the next level of giving people ideas of where to congregate. I don't know, Jackie, I'd be willing with you or anybody else in River Road to start doing an inventory just to see places that seem conspicuously open, and then maybe start doing some research on who owns them. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know whether you ask permission in a situation like that. I mean, in an emergency, people at least do an inventory and find out what we have.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And maybe we could ask even, our emergency preparedness distribution list is over 50 people now. So maybe we could send that out and ask people to submit recommendations if they have a school or a big field next to their house. We're not going to be able to drive up and down every single street. It would take forever, but if our neighbors could help submit those ideas, I'd be happy to research them with anybody.
That's a great idea.
Let me just say, you've heard of the September 12th Ready Eugene event. Don Matheny, I originally was hearing that event would include an evacuation event that would wind up in the Amazon Park for the program, but that's sort of dropped off the list of things to do with that Ready Eugene event, hasn't it?
And that event is an item on our list tonight. So Don, feel free to, or anybody else who knows about that event, feel free to give us an overview. you're still with us.
Okay, I guess
Oh, I'm sorry.
I guess he's muted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I tried to, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I tried to find information about it online. I put in Ready Eugene and stuff like that, and I mean, I didn't spend a lot of time at it. I figured I'd ask here, but I couldn't find anything that it describes what's happening. Even it just sort of says it's there. It's happening.
Oh,
So I do have the sign up link, but this doesn't really say anything about it.
No, I was looking at that too. Same thing. I wasn't ready to sign up until I knew what was
wait.
going on.
This one might be it. Let me post this.
Ah.
All right. So I think the event, so what I know about the event is that it's hosted by Pathfinder EX
Right.
in collaboration with some of the neighborhood organizations. And it is a disaster preparedness training. And I think it's a couple hours long, but it's to learn basic skills to help organize, prepare, and survive crisis events as a community. And it's free to sign up. I've signed up for that day.
But it doesn't really give you any more detail than that. And it's like, okay, what kind of exercises are going to be done? And like,
so there is a schedule out here. The last time I came here,
Okay.
it wasn't. Let me share this so we can all look
Okay.
at this together. All right, so this is the event page that link takes you to, and I'll send that out in the meeting notes.
okay, I see. Maybe I
But
didn't
down
go far.
below, and I think this was recently added because I didn't see this previously. So it's from 10 to 5 on September 12th at the Amazon Community Center. And then there is a schedule here starting at 10 a.m. There's neighborhood response team basics. So how to organize your neighborhood response team after a major event. Doing a neighborhood survey. So figuring out what information is useful to first responders and how to assess your neighborhood. It looks like they're serving lunch to everybody that comes. They talk about neighborhood communication up next. So how to use everyday equipment to organize, compile, and track your community needs. And then it's a Eugene Ready neighborhood preparedness exercise. So I think you put all of those lessons into practice, is what I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I also understand that the next ENPN meeting, and I'd have to look on my calendar. I don't even know if I have it on my calendar yet, but it will be taking place in August. We'll go into some detail about what that September 12th event will be as well. So I think they're starting to give us more concrete information about it.
Awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like it follows a lot of the same CERT principles of, securing your home first, securing your own family, and then venturing out into the neighborhood to help your neighbors and figure out how to prioritize their needs, which very much aligns with the CERT program. So that will be good to have all-day event for anybody who wants to come.
It would also be great if they are going to do radio exercises to bring FRSs, if that's part of what's available, that is the whole community's invited. So I don't know if they can do that.
You're supposed to sign up, if you're going to attend, and that once they figure out how many people sign up, that'll be a clue to what activities they could do if they get, 10 people or 50 people or 1,000 people.
Right.
Andy?
I have signed up, but I haven't heard anything more.
Yeah, me neither.
Andy, you got a question, something to add?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. The schedule, the breakout sessions that they have for the neighborhood, basically talking about map your neighborhoods and the communications. It's kind of like talking about having the equipment so that your neighborhoods can pass on information. There's not going to be a training session, so to speak, using radios.
All right.
And then if you want some training for FRS radios, Northeast District is on August the 14th, Saturday, on the rear parking lot of North Kinsey Christian Church on Crescent Drive at 10 a.m. We are going to kind of work with field teams or map your neighborhood teams with FRS radios to make sure that your radio is on the channel for your neighborhood or your district in accordance with the neighborhood radio communications resource guide. If you don't have that guide or you don't know what that guide is, it's available on the NEUGHAMS.org website. That's it's NEUGHAMS.org website. There is the neighborhood radio response guide is there, and it has all the information you need for communications within your neighborhood to your neighborhood ham, and then on to for the district ham that will go to the EOC. But for the August the 14th, more than welcome to come at 10 a.m. It's a Saturday, and we'll be there as long as people need help.
Can you repeat where that is? Maybe you could put all the information in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's a good idea, since my mic seems not to be going well.
Yeah, we're missing like every few syllables.
Yeah, that would be great, Andy. And I can make sure to include those updates in the meeting notes that I send out as well. And that emergency guide, we've sent that out a couple of times, but I'll include that again.
So it's North Kinsey Christian Church on Crescent Avenue?
Yes,
Okay.
Awesome.
You said there, Andy, you said there was a link we could go to for something. I couldn't quite catch it all. So if you could add that, that'd be great.
Yep, I think the link he was mentioning was the Northeast Eugene Hams website. And so we'll
Okay.
get that link out.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Oh, so on the same topic as of neighborhood events, there is another event that's a little bit larger than our neighborhood called the Great Oregon Shakeout Earthquake Drill. That's happening in October. I believe October 21st is what I have. Let me get back to the website. Yes, October 21st. And I think you can participate in a number of ways in this event. You can participate as an individual, so at home, at the specified time. You can drop cover and hold on, so get under your tables, go through that earthquake drill on your own. I think some neighborhoods are organizing to hold events to practice maybe evacuation or canvassing their neighborhood. So I wanted to put it out to the group if this is something that we'd like to maybe organize an event for, or just try to get the word out around our neighborhood. Has anybody participated in this event before? Anything to share with us?
What's the date on that again? October
21st.
It's like 5 something to 5. It's like a 10-minute long thing, isn't it? 10 or 15, as I recall.
That's
Like-
what it seemed like. There was a specified time. Yep. And then there's a recording that you can play that would be like an emergency announcement to indicate for you to drop and cover and
Yeah,
hold
I think
on.
I put that on my calendar. Yeah, 6:05 to 6:15. So,
Awesome. So we still have a little bit of time before that event gets here, but I wanted to share that with everybody so we can try to get the word out.
Is that
I've
AM
never-
or PM?
that's PM.
Oh, good.
That's good.
Yeah, really.
We might be able to get a speaker, to speak about like whatever damage we could expect in Eugene.
Mhm.
just, like a seismologist or something.
Yeah.
That'd
That
be
would be
good.
great. Yeah, that actually leads into our next agenda item of a call for speakers for this meeting. So are you or somebody that you know knowledgeable about any preparedness topics and want to come talk to the group? Topics like water storage, water treatment, food storage, survival skills, earthquake damage, any type of idea. We're looking for people to come and share their knowledge with us. So if you have something you'd like to present, or you know somebody who's an expert, we're looking for ideas. Does anybody know an earthquake damage expert?
And
Ed,
good.
are you the expert, or do you know somebody?
Oh, I know somebody. I'm not,
Okay.
I'm just, I think I can figure, I can find somebody who could do that.
Awesome. Yeah, no specific, meeting commitment. Whenever they're able to come in and speak to us would be great. But any experts that anybody wants to invite, we're always looking for more ideas.
And Jackie, I could probably do water purification sometime.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so we covered a lot of things very quickly tonight, which is good. The last kind of agenda topic, which we've kind of been talking about, is are there any events, practices, or activities that our team would like to plan for this upcoming fall or winter season? So like the event in the Amazon neighborhood, like the Great Oregon Shakeout, does anybody have ideas for events that they would like the neighborhood to host? Would you like to host something yourself or be a part of that organizing?
One of the questions I have is, how are we communicating out so that if we do host an event, we're going to have enough attendees? I think there's certain areas of the city that does a good job of this. Unfortunately, I'm in one that doesn't, but I'm trying to figure out, and this is something I've been sorting out for the last couple of years, is trying to get a good communication out to people. Because we have a website, Saco has a website, and I don't think probably more than 20 people actually look at it. I don't know. When I asked the webmaster if he had any statistics, he he really didn't. So he had some stuff, but it didn't really didn't articulate what was, who were reading it. It was just who looked at it. So anyway, one of the things that'd be great to do is sort of figure out if our communications is really working. That's where because if we don't have that, we can host all the things in the world, but if we don't get people to come in to it. So, and I'm open to any ideas.
Yeah, I have about, I think close to 200 people that I send out on my email list. And I sent that to 200 people yesterday. I sent this meeting to the 200 people yesterday, and so we have 12 here, many of whom probably heard about it from Jackie, who anyway, so yeah, that is a like the communication link that you're talking about is important. But I think the people who signed up for my list at one time were interested, but other things came up.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like the forest fires last year, I think really scared a lot of people. And so a lot of people were interested in disaster stuff then, but now we're having COVID-19 and a heat wave. So it's sort of a different disaster going on. But I think, so what I'm saying is I don't really know an answer to your
right. Yeah.
But, you know, if we had money, we could hire a publicist, you know.
Or if we could, you know, if you could push, it used to be you could push things through the local newspaper, which now people don't really, you know, read that much. But online, you know, you have some Facebook groups and things like that, but not everybody likes to use Facebook or social media now. So yeah, it's really tough. It's the same thing, you know, our meetings for SACO, you know, there's the standard, you know, 15 people who show up every time, and what, 7 of those are the board members, right? And so, you know, I don't know. That's the whole frustrating part about this, and trying to do more than get ourselves ready. It's, you know, trying to get other people ready and interested in their futures when we have a disaster. So anyway, it's something to think about.
I just want to second that as a concern, especially if we're in the position of needing to get the word out about an emergency that's happening. It's going to be critical that we have a better handle on how to do that, even if it's a list of imperfect, but some go-to places, 15 that we know we're going to make sure to contact. The other reason this is of interest to me is that I'm putting together a proposal. I'm hoping the board of ARCO agrees to join as our neighborhood association, become a member of the COAD, which is a county-wide emergency preparedness group. And part of what you need to say in joining is, what do you bring to the table? And part of what a neighborhood association can say, and hopefully does, is be able to communicate and do outreach to people in that jurisdiction. Yeah, it's I would like to see us put more, maybe collectively, be able to identify a list of 15 things we would want to do immediately to get the word out, whether it's next door, Facebook, ENPN. I don't know whether, Don, you have any thoughts on this issue of outreach. But it would be really cool to know that there was some kind of electronic blast that would go out to all neighborhood associations, for instance, right away, for them to in turn distribute. Does something like that exist, Don?
Very good suggestions, but you know, I feel the same way you do. I'm not sure how we do that, and I'm not sure how we can do that. I certainly think we need to.
Yeah, I'd say that's a really high priority. Just to let people know, safety zone, whatever, is open and a good place to go in the next 6 hours if you need to leave, you know.
Yeah, I guess our focus has been on trying to get neighborhoods to do their thing, but I think there's a bigger picture here of getting the city organized so that we can reach out to people and get them involved. I'm not sure how to do that. I would sure ask for some help on that.
When I was a kid, we had the siren go off at the grade school the first Tuesday of every month. And everybody knew that that was just a test, first Tuesday test. And maybe a police car with an electric megaphone would ride down the streets and say, this is a test. If it wasn't an emergency, we'd tell you what to do, where to go.
Yeah, I know that I read an article about the floods in Germany, and you know, the roads that they wanted to go down were impassable. They were, you know, that was one of the things they wanted to do, And then they had a siren or something, but they hadn't used it because it wasn't maintained. And I don't know if they use a system that's like the alert system or something like that. But there were a lot of people died and that probably shouldn't have died. But so you're right. We gotta have something that lets people know that be prepared, or at least listen to the radio, or get on the alert system. But
Yeah, and there's a couple reminders being posted in the chat here. So Andy mentioned the Alert Me program. Does everybody on here know what that is?
yeah,
Everybody signed up for alerts, so that in case anybody doesn't, the city, county will send out emergency alerts. You can sign up for them to go to your cell phone, your email, and you can specify which alerts to get. So if you want high wind or severe weather or flood or fire, there's little check boxes where you can indicate what you'd like to receive. So that's definitely a good way to get the word out. There was a mention of getting the news outlets involved and spreading that word. So Lynn, you worked at KZI for 10 years and retired. Do you have any contacts there anymore?
I have a lot of contacts there.
Okay.
So I could ask them to do a story on it.
That's it.
I'm sure they've done stories on it before, but depends. I think they probably would want to do a specific one, say on wildfires right now. And
maybe we could do one on wildfires and
I'll be here Thursday.
communicating. Maybe how do you get information or something, or sort of like that, communications.
yeah, for everyone to get the Alert Me app. It's
Yeah,
really easy. I mean, and it's so much better than the emergency one from Red Cross, because it was alerting me for everything in Oregon. And it would alert me like at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd get this alert message, and I just had it. And so I signed up for Alert Me, and they even have a quiet zone from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. on there. So it only alerts you if it's a real emergency. It pushes through.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the one to get.
Lynn, I'm just thinking, do news organizations have a plan for disasters like we have done in neighborhoods, other people have done for disasters? Do they have something about, a script to follow, what they're going to look for, what they're going to broadcast? Because I think a lot of us would be depending on them for information and want to know a lot of what's going on.
yeah, that's really a good point. Is what are their the broadcast folks going to do in case of an emergency? Do they have an alternative site or something like that they can broadcast from, or
They have backup power.
yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
In the I think it's a 2013 or 2012 Oregon Resilience Plan, which addresses the earthquake preparations, and it's like 300 pages. They talk about business resilience, and one thing they say is that if a business can make it, the business is like shut down for 2 weeks, for two weeks or 3 weeks, they're probably never going to reopen. And so in order to be resilient, then the organizations really need to think about it in advance. And who knows how many organizations actually do think about it. So that's just one angle to this. There's some information on how you make your business resilient in the 2012 resilience plan. If anybody wants a copy, I can send you a copy. And then the other thought I have is that I've been in Bethel. I've been working in the Bethel neighborhood for a year and a half or something, and for CERT for a couple of years. And so every now and then something comes up that needs money, and And one way to have money is to form a nonprofit corporation and get donations from, charitable donations from foundations, and use those donations to do what your program is. And so the idea, earlier I said, well, we could get a publicist for these events. We don't have time to do it now, but it's as a long-term goal. If we started a nonprofit corporation, then we could, and I know Bethel Neighborhood is a nonprofit corporation, but it's the wrong kind of nonprofit corporation. But if we have as a long-term plan, we could be moving that way. So then we had donations and grants, then we could just hire a publicist who knew what they were doing and tell them to do it. I mean, it's like calling up a sewage repairman or something. So anyway, that's a thought, kind of a long-term planning goal that we could think about. And I have
Andy?
experience with nonprofits.
Awesome, Ed. Those are great ideas.
You know,
Andy, you had your hand up?
Yes, I was just wanted to mention with Charles was talking about that having a point for evacuation. And we in church, we always teach that, and same thing, map your neighborhood, that you have a rally point that everyone to, a rally point. And I just think you as a neighborhood should just go ahead and pick your own rally point. We're find one for the neighborhood. If it be with a school somewhere that is away from the rivers, so to speak, in case that 100-year flood happens and all the dams break. But find a rally point to go to. If it's the school, contact 4A or whatever and say, River Road, we would like to use this area as a rally point for evacuation. Now, Southeast neighbors, in conjunction with the Pathfinder exercise on September 12th, they worked with Amazon Community Center and used that spot for an evacuation point for a neighborhood by the Amazon Community Center. So you'll just have to do it yourself.
Yeah,
Don't wait for the city.
I totally
to do
agree.
it for because the city's not going to be around. If there's a major disaster, the city is not going to come help you. Your neighbors want to help your neighbors. And that is why it's so important to either have a map neighborhood team or just a plain field team of a light search and rescue that will go through the neighborhood and look to see what is damaged, who is hurt, and be able to write down information in order to get back to somehow get it to the Emergency Operations Center for Eugene. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Right.
That's good information.
That was really well said.
Well, in my pod, the FEMA pod class that I just took, that it shows that they have already figured out the areas that they will bring the pods, and depending on the type of evacuation and the amount of people that will be showing up, they have it all figured out. I mean, according to the the FEMA class, that they have their evacuation sites. So I think it would be good to check with the management and find out where those are already.
Pod site, the pod sites, the Northwest District has 2 emergency wells. One at Howard Elementary and then another one over in Bethel neighborhood. Those wells will be staffed by CERTs. There'll be CERT teams that will actually staff those emergency well teams. But the city does plan to have points of distribution, but they will not tell where they're going to be.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to tell what location they're going to be at or where.
Yeah, they said 30 minutes before it opens, they'll put out the signs. Yeah.
they're not going to do that. And
Yeah.
and those points of distribution will also be staffed by search as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, never mind.
Well, excuse me, but some of us who don't have CERT background or know exactly what you two were just talking about, that sounds different from what you were earlier saying, Andy, which is don't wait for
Right.
authorities to give you the answers. As a neighborhood, you can start identifying places, rallying places where you might want to ask people to congregate if you needed to in an emergency.
Yes, Chelsea, that's correct. What Lynn and I were talking about was something that the Eugene government is doing with eWeb. That's totally separate. But for
Separate,
you,
yes.
yeah, for you as a organization, you can take it on yourself. You can have medical team. You can have light search and rescue teams for your neighborhoods. You could have a transportation team if you need to. These are all things that we're to help one another out. Ed and Jackie, they're there to help you in any ways. And Lynn, she's a CERT, to help you guys if you need training on light search and rescue or fire suppression or something like that. The CERT program can come to you and give you some hands-on training. You don't have to be a CERT, but we can give you the tools that will keep you safe and not injure yourself, and also help your neighbors. And we could do that. And so my vision, as coming from a past military background, I envision the CERTs. We are like special forces. We are embedded into the neighborhood communities. So we are there to help out the neighborhoods.
We just need more of them.
Well, and the other thing we need is to know who they are, where they're at. I know that people don't want to share that because they don't want people knocking on their door all the time. But when the time comes, how are we going to know who those people are?
Joel, I'm with you. I'd like to know where they are as well.
Well, and also we have to be prepared. We can't wait for an event to meet them.
Right.
If what Andy is saying is we have a lot of work to do, and it would be nice to have the CERTs help with that.
We have the state of Oregon is going to be rolling out its version of neighborhood in late fall or late summer, early fall. And Ed is going to be a guinea pig along with myself and some others. Ed has volunteered to be one of the guinea pigs for doing the I can't remember what they called it, Jackie. It's like a test.
A simulation?
It's like a pilot program.
A pilot there. Thank you, Jackie. It's a pilot program that the state asked if we would do. And I remember Ed said he would do one, I would do one, Carlos and Southeast Neighbors would do one, and Thomas, I can't think, Thomas
Price.
Thomas Price would do one in Southwest. So each of the district leads are going to do one in their district to see how this new Map Your Neighborhood functions, how it works. We haven't got it yet. Hopefully the district leagues will get it, be able to go through it before we take it to the neighborhoods. But that's our goal, is to build up neighborhoods, Map Your Neighborhood teams, or some type of a field team that will assist in looking at where are the needs in some type of emergency. That's our goal.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Great. And I want to circle back. There's been a couple more messages in the chat. Sufi had posted, what about a rally point on top of a school or a building in the event of a flood? So like on top of the Emerald Park building or on top of a school. I think identifying those locations and then finding out if they have access to the roof would be the starting point there, but that's a great idea.
Except if the structure of the school or the building is not, you won't know if it's solid underneath you, especially if there's a flood. I mean, if that's all you've got, you go there, but I would think that wouldn't be my first choice.
That's a good point. And
Well,
then, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if we can start with a survey to look at places that look receptive, I mean, that are big and open, and then start doing that more nuanced screening about, would the roof here sustain people hanging out in a flood? I think that's intriguing.
Yeah, definitely some more research there. And then the other item posted was, we need to plan for a power outage this winter. And if any of you lived here a couple of years ago, here in my neighborhood, we were out of power for like 5 days, I think, in that December ice storm. So that is definitely a real possibility around here. So maybe that's something that we could organize as a neighborhood, to say at a specific time, we're going to simulate a disaster and pretend that the power went out. Everybody, can take action in their home, or if we need to, I don't know if that's an evacuation situation, we could talk about that more, but that could certainly be something we could plan for, since it's definitely a real possibility in our neighborhood. Maybe we could shoot for like the October, November timeframe to be able to hold something like that. So we could find people who are interested in helping organize, and maybe start holding some meetings to talk about how that event might work. And then, of course, the big component of how do we communicate that event is happening to everybody so that we can get participation.
I'm pretty sure that ENPN did an actual workshop on that, the power outage.
Yeah, we did. When I was there, we did. I still have the PowerPoint that we used.
Yeah, and I understand it was really good. A lot of people came and listened, so that would be a really good starting point, I think. Yeah. If you have that, Joel, that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
Awesome. And we can reach out to the current NPEN members too, and see if they might have that, or be willing to organize an updated version.
Yeah, Thea Bell would be the one to connect with on ENPN, because she's just so well organized.
She's got all the information.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is everything that's been on our agenda tonight. Is there anything else, any other topics that the group wants to cover while we're all together? Any quick items you want to share?
I just saw Sufi.
I can share that I'm hungry and I need dinner.
Yeah.
I saw Sufi's chat about sharing it with everybody, and if I send it to you, Jackie, you'll share it with everyone, right?
Yeah, everybody that's here tonight is on my distribution list, so anything you guys put in the chat or send my way, I'll make sure to send out to the group. And then I think Ed shares that as well. One of these days, I'm sure we'll consolidate our membership list, so everybody gets one email together.
Yeah.
But yep, we'll share that with everyone.
Great.
And did you see that Jackie put the link to that product that you were asking about this in the chat? Okay, great.
Yeah. And
I already ordered it. Looks great.
Yes. Thank you, Andrew, for getting that out there. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, we ended ahead of time. We'll give some time back for dinner. If you have questions or think of something after the fact, reach out and we'll get it out to the group.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Very interesting.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Katie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.